Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Chris, and we're here today with Karen, as always. Karen, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, likewise, for sure. And this is Invisible Strength, episode number 33. Today, we're here with a fellow Wildcat. And I know that there's a lot of places that take on this mantra of being a Wildcat. They probably have some Wildcats over in the Midwest where you both are. But we're speaking specifically about Davidson College. Misty, Brady, and I are both members of the same college community over at Davidson, and now Misty's gone on to do wonderful things. The field hockey coach, who's a field hockey player back at Davidson, is now coaching at Loyola Academy. Misty, welcome and thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, it's a joy. It's a joy. So tell us a bit about your journey. With this show, we're talking a lot about athletes who journeyed with like autoimmune diseases and disorders. And you were a successful field hockey player in college. Talk about the journey where you started to notice like a change, or like, was it a shift happening in college that you just couldn't understand at that point? Like what was going on?
Absolutely. Like looking back, so it's really tricky because until you played a D1 sport, you've never played a D1 sport and you don't know what it takes.
Right.
Similar to being a mom, you just you don't know, you just hear, and so you like, well, this must be normal.
Mhm.
So when I look back now, I mean, I was in incredible shape, but there were just patterns that did not make any sense that should have been really red flag material that I just didn't pick up on. And it was much lesser than obviously it is now. And I was able to do these amazing things with my body. But, like your hair falling out when you're 20 is not it. That's not normal,
Right. Right.
not being able to like breathe fully when you've never had a problem before. And and so the inconsistency of my performance and misdiagnosis of mono several times where they like didn't know what to call it.
Right.
I remember being in the health center and them looking at me like, oh my God, she's back. Get out
He's
of
back.
here. And I was in a waiting room waiting for them to come in, and I fell asleep. And again, like the academics are exceptionally rigorous at Davidson. So, and I came from a public school that didn't have a ton of resources. So I just thought this was like normal.
Right.
But I remember falling asleep on the table before the doctor even got in to see me. So stuff like that, so my journey began well before I realized that anything was even happening. But it got after I had my son was when the next round of symptoms or things started happening. And again, didn't really pick up on it. I didn't listen to my body until I completely lost the function of my legs.
So it all seemed normal to you, and you just that so much of what you're saying resonates with my own story, like being diagnosed with lupus in my early 20s. Like there's so much I was just like, well, my hair falling out. I guess I'm just stressed about this new job.
Right, right. And you Google it like a fool and you add in the reason you think it's happening. Like,
Right.
it's my hair falling out because I don't have enough iron. Like, I remember like, oh, I've got this. I don't have enough iron. This must be
This
it.
is
I'm stressed out. Like, yeah,
yeah,
totally.
totally.
Self-diagnosed, and I feel like mono is one of those catch-all things where it's like, oh, it just must be that. You're fine. You know what's so interesting is that our coach really didn't know what to do with me. And we didn't have a lot of money at the collegiate level. So we would sleep 4 players in a room on trips. And she would just put my best friend, the goalie, with me because I got mono 3 times. So like she was like, well, you're already with Krista. Krista never got mono. My boyfriend never got mono
Right.
because I didn't have mono.
That's right.
So I just always like looking back, I'm like, huh, okay, cool.
That's
But
it.
yeah, I just didn't, I mean, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know. I mean, I was training for a marathon when it all went sideways, and your body just it just quit. It quit. It was like, you have to stop. And actually when it had happened, my throat closed up as well. I mean, my body just stopped. And
Shut down.
I thought I had, also, I developed a peanut allergy when I was in college out of nowhere. And
Okay.
apparently this is a thing. So your body just starts to like see everything as invaders or whatever. And so a lot of people with autoimmune develop allergies
Yeah.
like into their 20s and beyond. But I remember thinking, oh, it must have been, it was on Valentine's Day. It must have been the tacos we ordered from a new place. This has got to be anaphylaxis. And so, and I'd only experienced it once and I'd passed out. So I was like, oh, I can't feel my toes. And it moved up my legs. And I was like, this has got, I mean, even in that moment where you think you're dying and you can't breathe, you're like trying to rationalize, like, I mean, I guess everybody would, like, why is this? What is happening? You're like, oh, this is my fault. Like, I should have put it better on, it was takeout. I should have like been really clear, like, have a peanut allergy. Like, it's so, that piece of it this whole time is like, and then even after my diagnosis, always feeling like I had done something to deserve it or like exacerbate it or like,
Mhm.
because y'all know with flares, like
Mhm.
there are things you know, they can come out of the clear blue, nothing, or you could have done things that caused them or, you know, and so it's this weird blame game where I felt like, especially early in my diagnosis, it was just a lot of like, I don't know, self manipulation and feeling like I did it to myself.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
No, no, it's necessary. It's necessary to paint the picture. As you're speaking about this, Misty, I'm wondering if you felt like your body was betraying you, because I know that was something that ran through my mind. Like with my story, like I wasn't a D1 athlete by any stretch of the imagination, but I would play basketball all the time for fun. And I remember as a school teacher playing basketball with my kids, and then like that move that worked for like my whole basketball career just like doesn't work now. Like my wrist is just killing me. And I'm just like, how is my body like betraying me in this moment? So I'm wondering if someone who just, was playing recreationally feels this way, how much more does someone who's, athletic and someone who's like, devoted their life to athletics, like what's that struggle like when you're used to being able to do, preparing for a marathon is no easy feat. You're used to being able to do things that your body's now like, nope, that's not what we're on right now.
Chris, I mean, I'm sure you guys know it's just, I'm sure it's everything that anyone else in our situation would experience, but it is my craft. It is what I do. I now made my own schedule and I've adjusted what I do for a living, but I give lessons. I give elite level lessons throughout the day, like during the school day, which is crazy. Kids need to be in school, but they're not. And so they're going to pay me to give them a lesson and we're going to get better and we're going to grow as humans. So I will say yes to that because they're already like, I've got 2 free periods.
That's right.
But it is even to this day, like today, I'm having a good hands day, which is
Come on.
great because like what we are working on is hand skills. And I've got to like put, they don't, even now the kids, I want to say they respect you, but if you can't do the skill that you're teaching them, you kind of become obsolete. Like,
Yeah.
what am I here for? And by the way, the game of field hockey is rapidly evolving and becoming more demanding and more skillful. There's no way I could have played college field hockey with how good these girls are
Come on.
now.
Come on.
So it's not only been my old skills and like my knees giving out or just having a weird vertigo day, because why not? It's not just my old skills, but I'm still having to learn skills.
The game is
So
evolving.
it's so dangerous. My daughter will not be playing field hockey.
Wow.
It
Wow.
is, there's
Wow.
so much facial trauma. And I love it. And like I said, these kids are here and this is a way I can be, make my impact and help grow strong young women. But it is so crazy. It's so dangerous. So yeah, no, my body is just, I mean, at one point my mother-in-law was like giving me baths because I still didn't have access to my legs. I could see them, but they weren't doing their job. So while I often like resent my body for not being able to do the things, like I'm running a 10-minute mile at best if I even get out the door to do anything active that week, right? While I do still like hold some resentment to look down at my watch and be like, gross. Mainly, I'm super grateful, like almost in a toxic positivity sort of way. Am I grateful because I drove past a pumpkin patch after having Walt and pulled over to the side of the road. Sorry to cry, but it's like it's such a distinct, memory for me. Pulled over to the side of the road on the highway, which like you don't do in Chicago, and just sobbed because I love Halloween and my son is born in October. And I was like, I will never be able to walk around a pumpkin patch. It is not in the cards for me. I can barely drop him off at daycare without taking a break in the car. And so that, like, when I'm having these moments, or if the stick flies out of my hands, or if I have to, like, whatever, make an adjustment on the day, it's like, nope, I thought I would never go to a pumpkin patch again. So it's frustrating, but also I like to just be like, oh, I'm getting old. It would have got harder anyway. So yeah, it's so funny. My emoji in the group, whatever chat thing is a granny, because I tell them, because my watch face is a granny, an emoji of a granny, because it helps me to like remember, like, you need to take it easy. Like, this could be a burst, right? And this could be great, but like, you got to listen to the triggers, and you're a granny.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's interesting working with kids though.
Sure. No doubt about it.
Miss, you've talked about how some very serious, intense moments, but seeing you now, you're fully energetic, you're coaching, you're doing all the things. How did you evolve from those really dark times to doing all the things now?
So I'm doing all the things, but when I tell you, and Chris, like, you went to Davidson. I was just bottom of the barrel normal for the exceptional things that these other humans were doing at that school. Like, we were all type A. I mean, you had Libby on last week or the week before. Right. She got most likely to be president. Like, and that's one of my very best friends. And so, yes, I seem energetic, and this is so huge. And if I can live my life at this level, I'm so blessed. But like, I'm taking a nap after this.
Okay.
I've got a 1:30 session, and then I have a 4:00 session. And I will go like be somewhere completely silent in between those. And it could be that I'm going to have a great day, and I do have energy, but there's this like observation where I force breaks throughout the day, and what you see is not what it is. And I think that's what's really hard with one of the communities I've built, because they're all athletes. I have coaches I'm coaching with who are running marathons, and they see me and they're like, look at you. Or, and it's like, yeah, but I'm going to go home and nap. And I used to do this plus be a teacher, and so it's really, it's different. Nowadays, my biggest goal is to be able to let go of the small stuff, and the small stuff is often cooking dinner. I got to use my spoons, and I'd rather get giggles than cook dinner. The house is a disaster. Like, this has made me more of a type B human than I ever could have tolerated in the past. So, but yeah, so that's my goal, is like go in sprints. And I'm an athlete, so that's how I see it. It's like, we're going to take sprints, and then we're going to take big sets off. And even if it doesn't feel like I need it so much, I actually struggle with that sometimes, because I'm like, maybe I need to build up my daily fitness, like as far as just surviving the day. Like, maybe I should stay all day. I don't know. Maybe taking these naps is like confusing my brain, but it tends to be that then when I try out that theory, I was wrong and I need the naps.
Yeah, true.
End up paying for it.
You really do. So with all this in mind, like, what does a successful day feel like for you? Like, what do you think? What are the days that make you, when it's over, you're sitting back and you're like, okay, this was a good one. What does that look like for you now?
And it means I've changed out of one athletic outfit into a more professional athletic outfit. So all my clothes are athletic,
Shoot.
So I went somewhere, I got out of the house, I did something. Usually it's outside. Like, I need to have gone outside. But my day is rounded out literally by Like if I'm laughing with my kids at the end of the day and I'm not so overwhelmed, like sensory overwhelmed, and like if the fatigue is not like pulling, the muscles off my bones, and I can like go to bed happy, I don't even care. The rest of the day actually could have sucked, and I just feel that. And so going to bed with peace and like being able to show the energetic side to my kids that's a successful day. I mean, my job is great, but like none of that matters. I mean, I'm so lucky that we're okay financially, and that my definition of success can be more than just putting food on the table. It can be like, taking time to myself and enjoying my kids. Because that's not how I grew up.
No, I was gonna say to the contrary. I feel like those are, to borrow words, like those like the weightier matters of the day. You know what I mean? Like a lot of us in Western society in the world like view our success as sort of like high powerful job or like influence in it. But like being able to spend quality time with your children and quality time with your family, that's, at the core of everything. As a father, I had this interesting interaction at like a Wawa where like this older man just was like, "Kids, am I right?" And I was like, "Best thing we get to do, like best work we get to do." And he just, he was not with it. But I
Right.
really feel like what you're describing, Misty, is the best work we get to do,
Yeah, I agree.
There's a mention being type A personalities. There's a silver lining in being able to have to take that step back and enjoy your children or whatever your quality time is.
There's this really crazy documentary where this guy follows around turkeys for a whole year. They call him Turkey Boy. And it's so funny because he doesn't have kids, but it teaches them to live in the present. And he's always outdoor. And, he just loves these daggone turkeys. And I call my son Turkey Bird because it's just like, it's a signifier. Like every time, because now it comes out of your mouth, like, whatever, it's a nickname. But like, it's like, no, this is the good stuff. So, yeah. And you're right. I wouldn't have, it'd be 110 miles an hour.
Mhm.
And that's the other piece when I was teaching, and I teach special needs and like, at a whatever Title I, I hate that term, school, like it is, I just poured out constantly, and it would have been, I would have eaten myself alive. I think I did. See, there's that blame again. I do. I feel like maybe, something in my DNA, I triggered this because I was just going too fast.
Well, it's funny you say it because like I really, in the conversations that Karen and I have had with folks in the autoimmune community, I haven't met like a person in this community who's not an industrious person. I've never heard this story of like, yeah, I don't really have many ambitions. I didn't really do much when I was a teenager or a young person, and somehow this happened. Like it seems to target the people who are like living their life with their foot firmly on the gas pedal. You know what I mean? And I think maybe, not to sort of say like it's a good thing, because it certainly doesn't feel like a good thing, but maybe there's ways that it's expanded, like these crises have expanded our perspectives to really understand the beauty of slowing down and following the turkeys and just really taking it easy.
And I know it shouldn't be, but God is kind of controversial right now, but it's a God thing too.
Yeah.
For me, it was just like, and even how I view my job and what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and what are our goals. And we are very successful, and I can't knock the competitiveness out of me. If you tried, I have tried. I want to win. If you're not good enough, you're going to be cut, even if I love you. Like, so let me be clear. What I'm doing is we are sharpening tools, athletic tools, but also like, so that part, it was always going to be. But how I'm viewing what I'm doing and making sure these kids are taking care of themselves and helping place them in the right school. Like, okay, you want Division I? That's great. I can help you. But like, here are 10 programs you don't want to go to, no matter how cool they are, how cool they look on paper. Like, I wouldn't send my daughter there. I'm not sending you there. Or, you know what? Like, I know you want Division I, and you can do Division I, but I want you to go to these Division III schools and check them out.
Yeah.
because I'm learning personalities and I've seen it. I coached at Iowa, which is a top 10 program. And so at any rate, it's like, I wish someone would have told me it was okay to just take up space without like all the bells and whistles and the medals and the crowns and I would have loved to have just taken up space as a high schooler, because I think that let's all chill out. Like, I'm just saying I think about moving abroad quite a bit. My kids aren't doing travel sports, although Ren is kind of a pistol. So she's 2. So it might be in the way that you can't beat it out of me. It really is a special type of person that wants to train like that and subject themselves to that. But, people are happy in Europe. I mean, I know they're not like all happy, but like we don't have this like pay to play. And it's so confusing because I obviously coach and I coach a travel team and we, came in 5th in the nation and all that's great. But like me and how my stuff went, it just kind of makes me want to teach the girls to be present, to teach them to work hard and make friends. But like, if you're a senior and you leave your senior night and your final game and you just go on with your life, that is so special too.
Yeah.
It's just, it is none of it's that serious. And my family is sick as well, unfortunately. And I just think none of this matters. It really doesn't. You can feed yourself. You can be happy. That's what matters.
How do you give 17 or 18 or 19-year-old that level of perspective? Because that's the sort of wisdom that from my, both theological and ideological perspective comes from suffering, comes from, time and experience. If I'm, on top of the world, it's senior night, I don't want to hear it's okay. You can still have a full, complete life. I don't want what seems to me like a slower pace of Europe and a life of leisure. I want to be tenacious. I want to prove that I'm the best. How do you help, especially as a coach? How do you inculcate that culture? How do you disabuse people from that sense of like, you need to tear yourself to pieces in order to succeed? How do you get that across?
That's such a great question. And I never, ever have I thought of that. You live it. Kids are so much smarter than we give them credit for. Like from jump, these young women that I coach, like, I don't care what kind of grades they're pulling. The kids are smart. And so if you truly are celebrating the girl that is taking a gap year and going to community college, and you mean it just as much as the girl on your team that just got committed to Northwestern, and you mean it, you got to actually mean it. I do mean it. I think those things and the spaces in between and like standing up for myself and setting boundaries. It's funny, we call it a FAM, FHAM, and it's cheesy. It's so cheesy, and there's lots of Too Fast and Too Furious references. It's ridiculous. But by being authentic and really meaning it, they see how I interact with my own children. And, it's so funny because I missed a practice and it was like the second practice in a row. And Bella said to one of the girls, "Oh, she must be at our rheumatologist." Now, I didn't even know what a rheumatologist was until my legs gave out.
Right. So you had to, right.
And we think these kids don't know sorrow or struggle, and that is so wrong. Some of my darkest days, even having experienced all of this, were when I was in high school and I was super depressed and I had to be like prom queen. Like, come on. Like, it was so the pressure that these kids are under, especially in the area that I live in, and the stuff that goes on, even like when I was teaching, the stuff that's going on behind closed doors, or nowadays you can't be giving kids a ride home. But back then I was giving kids a ride home, and it does, it connects. And so I think for me, it's really hard to balance my competitive nature with like, we have like a mental health game, because I say this with love. All these kids are messed up. We're all messed up. But like now we can like own it. And again, like in an authentic way. So I think just supporting each other, but still holding a standard. Like, sure, you might not go on to play in college, but what you did here, I'm militant. This was it. This was special. And they all like each other. So I think Now, my kids at home are probably sick and tired of hearing me talk, but they get it. My kids are, well, Ren doesn't. She scares me a little bit, but while deeply feeling he's 9 and he gets it.
Yeah.
So I just think talking about it, but not in like a lecture way, just like when you're on the bus and they ask you a question, like take a minute, make it real, make it personal. And, you don't need to be talking about when you were a kid going out clubbing or anything, but like if you put yourself, and I remember intimately, like my entire child, my memory on those things is so clear and vivid. So I can sit myself in their shoes and like feel it and talk to them. So I guess that I don't think there is like a real right way to do it other than not to shy away from being human in front of them.
True. Love that.
Misty, you have a really unique perspective being a D1 college athlete, and now you're coaching, having to gone through all of it. We've had a lot of athletes on who are trying to navigate the full speed versus taking a step back. How do you help them navigate that?
I think you have to, it's really hard because I don't know if I'm a great example, because in a lot of ways, if you are hardcore and you want to get back to running marathons or whatever, I don't know that you want to listen to me because, my answer was that my idea of what it looks like to be athletic and successful has changed. But even I'll have these spells where I really try to get in shape and see what my body is still capable of. You have to ride the waves of your body. And be okay if that day it tuckers out. And I know that you want to have a goal, and it's good to have a goal, but every day is going to be different. You need to have grace with that. So when I started, training again, I was going to try out, I don't know, I'm crazy. I was going to try out for the U.S. veterans, like the old lady league, but for field hockey. And it would have been it was at the time, it was during COVID. So it would have been the under 40s, and that's still really competitive. And
Right.
I got myself in like really good shape, but every day looked different. I was doing sprint sets. I was doing all and I had a flare, and it kind of wiped me out for a week.
Yeah.
And for me, I realized that goal was just trying to prove something to myself. It wasn't actually what I wanted. And so I think that because of how we've been brought up and because of where we live, like we are ticking off boxes, we are finding the crown to put on, like I want the next thing. And you can do that. There was someone on Ninja Warrior the other day who had lupus. And I was like, you go, boy, like holy moly. But yeah, yes, right? What is happening in your life? Like which meds are you on? But
I need that.
I want that one. So, but every season is different. And if you realize halfway through, my friend was writing a book, and she's one of the coolest people I know. My friend was writing a book, and then she realized she was hating writing that book, and it held on to her, and it held on to her. And I was like, baby, that's a sunken cost at this point. Like you just told me that it takes all the air out of your lungs when you think about sitting down to like finish that. Let it go. So I think goals are good, and trust your body. If you want to hit that goal, I do think you can, because you understand your body better than anyone as an athlete. But also, if you get halfway there and you realize that it wasn't, it's not worth it, it's okay to bow out.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's not maybe the answer that hardcore athletes want to hear, but none of it really matters, you guys.
It really resonates with me. I felt robbed of what I wanted to do, held back from going after those goals. But after you sit with it and give yourself some time and space, you reimagine new goals that was more fit for me than what I had originally envisioned. That's so hard to see when you're in the thick of it.
Yeah. So my younger sister is sick and is really hard because she's young. She's so young. Oh God, I don't even know her age, because she's wise. She's smarter than a whip, valedictorian, like did all the grad schools, is still like talk about type A, but she's having chemo. And I remember she was an elite athlete, and she ran a half marathon on a treadmill because she, I think, just wanted to prove something to herself.
Right.
And good Lord, she did. And my brother was like running it in person, and she was only like 2 minutes off of his pace, which is wild because he's 6 foot tall. And it was just like a feat of will. I remember being like, I don't get this. I don't know why you're doing this. Like, you literally had chemo last week. What are you doing? Sometimes, like, especially at the beginning, but then every once in a while, you just want to prove that you can.
Right.
She wanted to know that, like, if she could grit it out, and God, like, bless her, she did. And so it's hard to be with, it's good and it's sad to be with people who are on earlier parts of their journey.
Sure.
Like, my friend Tyler is going through, like, has gone through trying to get the diagnosis, and like, she's so sick, and she'll literally send me a picture of like a rash. You get this rash. I do get this rash. My doctor's gaslighting me. And like, will I ever smile again, is what she texted me. And it just like a wave, it just brought it all back. You will sing in the car. You will smile again. You will reconnect with your husband because he's still there. So that means he's going to stay, in my view.
Right.
So the meds will help, and it might not help right away. It will. And so, but it's really tough, especially, when it's my sister as well, like, to be like, all right. I mean, she's 10 years younger than me. But when I think about gratitude, we always laugh. She's like, you are the most grateful person that just has experienced hell on earth.
Yeah.
And it's real. I really am. I just feel so grateful. Anyways,
it takes those moments of sometimes hell on earth to be able to feel the gratitude, because you know how difficult it can be.
Right. Without that, you may take it all for granted. Like, of course I can run a marathon. Of course I can make the old lady league. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, of course I'm going to do these things.
right.
They need to trademark that, by the way, because that's hilarious. But like, I just feel like there's all these ways that success and the kind of people who drive themselves to be the best version of themselves. There's a lot of ways that, like, unchecked, it can become, as you sort of described, this sort of self-loathing where like you're like just so frustrated with yourself. And I just was curious, like, how do you remind yourself and like pull yourself back to that center of reminding yourself that you're loved and that you still have wonderful things in your life? Like, how do you bring yourself back to that place of gratitude when there's all these feelings that you may be experiencing that are saying like, man, you used to be able to do this, that, and the third?
It's gonna sound so dark, but like, when you come from my upbringing and when you have my siblings, and I mean, this is truly what I do. My oldest sister is dead. None of this matters. I'm alive. The sun came out today and I live in Chicago. That's crazy. Like, it is just, I just think of Wendy. That's my sister. And it is like a wave. Like, there's literally no way I can sit with that and not be. And that's why it's so funny, because one of my best friends and then my sister's always like, you're literally describing that your one sister has cancer. You have lupus and RA. Your oldest sister died out of the clear blue nothing, but it wasn't, it turns out. But you're like, yeah, I couldn't be any luckier. I mean, they laugh at me, but like, it's that. And I think I just sit myself in a chair where I think about even comparing. I feel so sad that my youngest sister didn't know my oldest sister very well, because there was like a 20-year age gap there. So I just compare, even like the smallest, it sets off like this avalanche of like gratitude, because it's like, God, how lucky am I? I got to know Wendy. I know what Wendy smelled like. I know what, like, it felt like to put my feet on her dashboard, and like Zoe doesn't. And like, like, how lucky am I? Because even the people that are moving through this world who would have in a parallel universe met Wendy never got to. Like, I can't help it. Like, I guess that's just how I'm hardwired. But 2 years of very bleak. I don't want to oversell this like rosy disposition. There were
Yeah,
2
Chief.
years where I was super depressed, thinking about like literally driving my car off the bridge. Like I need to let go because who's going to raise my son? It's not me. I can't do this to Pat. He's an orthodontist. He's making nice money. He's a good man. He can't be saddled with this. So there was 2 distinctly dark years. And moving through that and like people helping me bathe, that was just brutal. But I will say getting on the right meds and getting the correct diagnosis, I mean, that was life changing. Without medication, I'm not here. I get nervous in our climate, our political climate these days for a lot of reasons, but a big one is like at one point, something Zoe was taking, she has aplastic anemia, but it's right on the edge of leukemia. So they're doing all these clinical things. Like I'm concerned her clinical trials are going to dry up. I'm concerned she couldn't get, what's it called? It starts with an M. It makes you so sick. Anyways, it was written somewhere that was like, could cause abortion. So she
Yes.
literally
Minestrone or something like that.
or
methotrexate.
yeah. And so an M word, I don't know. So like she was going without there for a minute, and that was like last go round. So I don't know. I wouldn't be here without, I don't know how I started talking about this. Sorry, but the medication really, it allows me to be grateful, because otherwise I know what it was like to be so sick. And so many people are sitting around without the right, even without getting a diagnosis. It was so hard for me to get diagnosed. There was so much gaslighting. People were asking me if my husband was abusing me. They were giving me like antipsychotics from Jump. Like I show up to an emergency room and they were like, okay, well, what kind of like mood stabilizers are you on? I'm like, wait, what? Like it was absolutely bananas. So getting the diagnosis really helped as well. But yeah.
You saying that makes me think about the importance of like, the lupus advocacy work that I've been involved in for the past 2 years, and just thinking about, 90% of the people with lupus specifically are women, and just thinking about that for my estimation and viewpoint, I've always correlated that to like the long diagnosis windows that people historically have, anywhere from 6 months to 2 years to even longer. And I can't help but think that legacy of assuming a woman was hysterical there's a through line through all of that allows people who need help to not get the help they need because people don't believe them. And I think it's incumbent upon those of us in this community as well as medical professionals to work together to help undo a lot of that legacy of just not believing women when they're saying, I don't feel well.
Yes. No, I mean, it was, you're depressed, you're depressed, you're depressed. You've got bipolar, you're depressed. I mean, over and over. And there's so much work and research that has been done on that. And like, if you compound that with being a woman of color, it's like impossible.
Man, right.
So I actually changed my insurance. Also, that ended up not being true, but I changed my insurance on January 1. My insurance rolled, like we got a new insurance, and we had a connection with a doctor who had called me into the Mayo Clinic. I got an appointment for January 2, and I'd been fighting for a year to get anyone to help me in any kind of capacity because I was still so sick. And January 2, I went in and I came out with a lupus diagnosis on January 5th. And my daddy took me, I stayed at Libby's house because she's in Minnesota by the Mayo Clinic. I had to call in favors for them to call in favors to even get that appointment. Like that, if that is not privilege, and I like upped the insurance I'm on is insane. Like that, if that is not a privilege, like I don't know what is. And it still took a year of being sick as a dog and no one listening. That telling people they're not crazy, like with this woman that's neighbors with Tyler, over and over again. No, you're not crazy. Go back. I know you're so tired. Ask for a Zoom. You like, if they refuse to do something, tell them you want that put in the chart that they refuse to do it. Ask them if they know another doctor in the field, because immediately they get offended. and then they'll actually do more of their job, or they'll like release you, and then that's a godsend as well. So it shouldn't be so hard to be heard. But you're absolutely right. It is. And it's so interesting and kind of rude, but in the depths, I saw that you had your lupus diagnosis, Chris, and I was like, I wonder how long that took him, because he got his lupus diagnosis within 40.
My goodness. My goodness.
And
Yeah.
I know that that's not normal, but like he posted his like journey, and I was like, that's only 2 days, not a journey, which is not his fault. I'm
It's
so,
not his
so
fault. It's
glad.
not his.
But like, I was just like, seriously? And again, not fair, but it just, yes. So I do wonder what the other side of that looks like, whether it's helpful or not. I do think it helps us kind of talk to women and tell them to stand up for themselves. And in this community, if your meds aren't working, like, or you want a better quality of life, like you can go ask for that. Try something different.
Absolutely. When you say that, I think about, and I assume this was just like a universal, but like I was tested for like everything, and I remember my primary care doctor, like I was like newly married, like super newly married. And remember my primary care doctor being like, I'm sure he's a good husband, but we have to check for HIV. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing nothing. I don't feel
Right.
good. Like, help me out.
Yeah.
Help me
But
figure out
he's
what's going on.
grasping at straws, though. That's fair.
Like, you about to ruin that situation because you don't know what it is. Like, no, let's not speculate on that. So
I, I know doctors, but
no
to
doubt.
be fair, it is the weirdest disease ever. I
Yes.
mean, how it like snatches different parts of your body, and like even my rashes are inconsistent. Like ears will swell up. Like if I go in, I sound like a crazy person.
Oh, for sure.
At
For
the
sure.
beginning, it's like, all right, well, you were just talking about your stomach. Now you're talking about your ears,
Yeah.
And so I do feel empathy for the doctors. And frankly, I think it'd be really hard. I have a lot of friends that say things like, we shouldn't go into rheumatology if you need to have experienced it. It's like, homie, I should be a doctor. I'm tired. Like,
No
you,
way.
I don't think yes, there is that like understanding. You want your doctor to understand what you're going through, but like,
Mhm.
I'm sure there are doctors that have autoimmune diseases, but
For
dang,
sure.
that is a tough road to hoe.
That sounds exhausting, but props to them. But yeah, it is really because I just can't imagine even just having to stay up that long, like a hospital shift. That
Right.
would just be venting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what would you say is one myth or misconception that you would want people who are listening to this, particularly like athletes who maybe dealing with lupus or other autoimmune diseases and disorders, what would you wish that people like understood or had a better understanding of?
I have a couple, but a main one, and having been an athlete, and there is this sense of entitlement and vanity that comes with it, right? And this has been good for me in teaching young girls as well. Your body is a gift. Your body doesn't need to look a certain way to perform. Weight has nothing to do with anything. I lost at the beginning of last season. I was down to 102 pounds, which people I don't think have a good actual measuring stick on what weight should be anyways, because of movies and society. But like, that's crazy. I haven't weighed that since 6th grade. And the amount of other coaches and athletes and people who had been athletes, or just people who knew me, who would say I looked great because I was lean, and you could see like my biceps. As my body is eating itself. And
More.
the girls too are like, Misty, you've been hitting the gym. It's just none of that. It's just that piece. And for actual athletes who are struggling, like with an autoimmune situation, and I think there is this, you are still holding on to this. You need to look a certain way to be able to do X, like Z, right? And none of that matters. At the end of the day, it's how many spoons you have, how smart you've been with training. And if you are going to be able to grit it out to get that goal, if you have decided that the goal is worthy, mind over matter. I mean, we can do incredible things like mamas lift cars off of their children. Like,
That's right.
so it doesn't matter what you look like. It's how many spoons you have. Have you been smart with your training? And is it worthy enough that you're going to put yourself in possible peril to accomplish it? And as athletes, that is something we be doing crazy things. Like,
Yeah.
so it might be that you want to do the thing, but it's okay. It's not going to look the same. And it's okay if you need a big, long break after that, I think would be what I have learned as an old lady athlete.
Misty, we've been talking about some heavy stuff, so I want to end on a light note. When you are kind of down or having a tough day, is there a song or a go-to strategy to lift yourself up?
Man, and this is probably, my therapist would be like, this is not it. That's not what you want to go with. But it is, there is a strong codependency between me and my kids. And my son wants to be Chris Farley. He goes to Second City. He does improv classes.
I love it.
He is legitimately one of the funniest humans I have ever met. I just plop myself down in front of him. Like, I love Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. That hits a spot. That was my wedding song with my dad. Like, that hits a very special chord. So if Walt's not available, and then yesterday the state of the world got me sad, I had some Taco Bell, like, screw it all. So there are definitely crutches, but that my kids and my daughter is so sharp and so funny. I just sit with them because they're really cool.
Sometimes just sitting, even if you don't have the energy, just being around the people that you love is all you need.
So we always joke about being not Harry Potter, sorry, the Willy Wonka grandparents, where they're like in the bed and they just live in the bed. And I move beds. We're in one bedroom, but like bed giggles and bed wrestling and having the kids wrestle over top of me, like specifically in the bed where I am reserving spoons. I might be done for the day. Like, it is chef's kiss. There's really nothing better.
Awesome. I'm also just laughing at the image of you just be like, the world is messed up. I'm gonna get a Baja Blast, man. Like, this is just a terrible place.
Right. And you can, if you can get lunchtime meals during the breakfast window, but you just have to do it on the app. So if you roll up somewhere and they say, we're not serving lunch yet, just download the app, because at 9:30 you could be eating a Nachos Bel Grande.
Let's go. Cheat code real quick.
It's the key inside tip right there.
So if nothing else good happened in this hour, hopefully now we all know.
I'm telling you, man. This has been such a joy and such an honor, Misty. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you hadn't had a chance to share that you wanted to share with the audience?
I think we covered it all. We ended on a really good note. You guys crushed it.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Misty. It was honored to meet you. You have such great energy, good vibes. I appreciate you being such an open book and talking about all of this with us.
This was cathartic and amazing. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a joy, for real.
To our Invisible Strength crew, if today's episode was helpful, please share it with a friend. We're all in this together. Until next time, take care.